Welcome back to another Christmas DIY. In this episode, I'm going to take a look at this Mickey's Christmas Carol little scene that I created. This was one of the first things that I made, especially for indoors several years ago. So just wanted to show this video, give you a look at this little display that I made. So several years ago, I set this up and really drew a lot of inspiration, number one, from Mickey's Christmas Carol, because that's one of my favorite Christmas movies. Nice little 30-minute short, watch it usually several times a year. And then I drew a lot of inspiration from the Emporium on Main Street at Disney World. If you've ever been there at Christmas, if you take a look at their window displays, they have Mickey's Christmas Carol, beautiful little scenes set up that are motion and light, and each one of the windows that kind of tells the story of the movie. One of my favorite things, probably my second favorite holiday decor at Disney World, behind the toy soldiers. So I had this idea and it kind of came together. I had the thought of making these shadow boxes. I had some of these small figurines that I had purchased and was trying to figure out how I could incorporate and kind of make this. Well, I can't really make a full set. I don't have the resources or the talent to make a full set and have it, sitting out like they do at Disney World. I had this idea of printing on paper, and I found this translucent paper. And so from that, I downloaded some photos, had these photos printed on this translucent paper, and I had them fitted into these shadow boxes. So I picked out a scene from a photo from each of the main scenes from the movie to have printed in these shadow boxes. And behind that, I wired up LEDs in each one of the shadow boxes. They're connected. Each one's connected together with a small wire. I have a Wi-Fi LED controller. You can see that they're kind of flashing. That's the controller. I have it set to do kind of a flickering type motion. It's supposed to be random, so you can just see it's kind of flashing on and off. I can control that with my phone, change the brightness, change the flash pattern, whatever I want to do. So I set all this up. I wired up all the LEDs. I added all the photos. Then when I went to set them up, I decided to add these, the characters to each of the scenes. When I did that, I initially put it out and the characters were kind of blocking the photo panels. So I made these little foam blocks, kind of like you would do with a Christmas village, carved them, painted them, just to kind of give a little bit of additional height to each one of the scenes. Over the years, I've got additional characters that I've got from different places to just add to the scenes. This past year, I got the Scrooge and the Marley. Those are actually ornaments. I had a third one, but it was a little too big to fit in with everything. So I've added these to kind of expand and kind of tell the story of Mickey's Christmas Carol. Also, I picked up this replica Scrooge and Marley from the movie. I got that from Etsy. A really nice piece of wood, and I've got it hanging from this lantern. I made this lantern out of a large piece of PVC, and then of course like an outdoor lantern. I did the faux ice on each of the glass panels. I took those out using a combination of Epsom salt and just water. You can spray it on, let it dry, then it dries and it looks a lot like ice on the panels. I've got a LED flame bulb in there, so it flashes and it looks really nice at night, and I'll show you that. But this was a really simple project, really neat. One other thing that I did do, I added down here, I had a motion sensor sound device, and whenever you would walk by, it would play a different sound from each of the scenes. However, I did turn that off this year because it really just got on my nerves. The motion sensor was way too sensitive. I'd be across the room, or if the lighting would change, it would go off, and it was talking and singing and doing things all day long. So I ended up turning that off. I'd like to get that figured out maybe next year. I even had the motion sensor way in the back of this cabinet, and it was still going off all the time. So I ended up turning it off, maybe try to figure out something different for next year. I would like to add the door knocker from the movie somehow into the scene for next year. There's a few places you can get one online at Etsy, a few different versions. I'd like to add that. I'm going to have to do a small repair here. I had this taped up, but I believe it's come loose, and you can see it's kind of starting to fall down. So I'm going to have to fix that this year. So that's pretty much it. It's just photos printed on Vellum, I believe was the name of the paper. It's like a translucent paper made for inkjet printers. And now I didn't print these at home. My printer is pretty old. I did do a test print, and I thought it would work well. And I ended up having these printed at like Office Depot. My printer was just too old and not good enough to do the final versions of the photos. But pretty happy. This is one of my favorite displays that I do here in my basement. I'd mentioned before, we do pretty much full Disney in the basement, and this is one of the displays that I do here. I'll add some more here at the end, just a video of it at night, so that way you can see how it looks at night.